Patrick McNeil back here with you at the intermission, and throughout the year we've been catching up with alumni in the QMJHL of the other maritime teams because they're such a part of the Eagles' history. And going back to the pre-Islanders days to the PEI Rocket, and joined now by former Rocket star Ben Duffy. Ben, before we talk about your Q days, what's Ben Duffy up to now?
Just trying to adjust to the life of not playing myself. I just finished up playing overseas last year in Denmark. This full year I've been kind of mingling in a bunch of different things in the business world and doing some administration work and a lot of coaching as well, doing player development for the Stafford Minor Hockey Club that I grew up coming up through, and also taking on some head coaching duties with some junior teams around here as well.
You end up playing 5 years with the Rocket, beginning in 08-09. Just tell us how special it was to get to spend your entire Q career in the same place.
It was pretty special. It's not too often nowadays that you get to enter a team as a young 16-year-old teenager and kind of grow and develop with one team right into 21 years old. I think it's something that you don't see too often nowadays. It's pretty cool to make those connections like I did. I had the same billet family the whole year, and friendships and connections I made throughout the school and in the community as well. Really cool.
You won the scoring title in the QMJHL. Very exciting. Was that something you envisioned when you started your Q career, that you could be a big-time scorer? How exciting was that?
I don't know if you ever really picture yourself being on the top of the list at all, but it's always my role to be an offensive scorer. I think I made strides every year and got better every year. I think after my 19-year-old year, I was in the top 10 or something like that. It was just one of those things where I connected really well my last year with my line mate of Josh Curry, and we got off to a strong start, and we just kind of fed off each other all year. And the pucks were going in, and we jumped up to the early scoring lead early in the year, and then we just kind of never looked back. I don't think you ever set out to really do that. It's more team success that you're worried about, but it's really special in our last year to be able to accomplish something like that.
You and Curry have the two-headed monster thing going on with the Rockets. Certainly an exciting trio to watch when you two are on the ice. Now, what else stands out as highlights from your time playing in the Q and PEI?
For me, I think it was just the community feel of playing in PEI. 5 years in one place. You see a lot of ups and downs throughout some seasons, but it's always just that community feel of PEI, the strong and small city where you kind of know everybody, and going into that city and going to the public high schools and university, and just coming out of those 5 years with a lot of friendships and connections from Islanders. That's something that you kind of look back and really appreciate. You were able to accomplish things just outside the game as well, and kind of make an impact in the community.
It's interesting that you end up leaving the team just before the rebrand, the Charlottetown Islanders, and it really feels like a different organization altogether. Do you still feel connected to it? Is there a part of you that's sad that you just missed out on that, just to experience something different in the same city?
It's something you look back and kind of see the rebrand, how it's so connected to the city itself as it is, and kind of all the success they're having as the Islanders. You kind of look back and it's almost like a what if. Maybe if I was the Islanders back in the day, maybe we would have had some stronger teams. But at the same time, I think the organization does a really good job of staying in touch with their former players. We try and get together every offseason and some alumni and really get back to the community and meet some people that I grew up playing in front of. It's still nice to kind of be a part of the alumni group, and I'm really happy for all the success they're having as the Islanders.
Worth noting, recently Patrick Gay hit the 50-goal mark, and they did point out that it had been done by David Laliberte when he played with the Rocket. Neat to see those two jerseys together in the same post. You had an interesting career post the Q. You decided to play a year of pro, and you end up playing in the AHL and the ECHL. Then you went back to SMU. Tell us about that first year of playing pro, and also the decision to go to university after being in the pro ranks.
It was probably one of the tougher decisions I've had to make so far in my life. I was in Hamilton there in the American Hockey League, and when you're there, you're so close to Montreal and things like that. But those decisions back when I was going through it, where there was the deadlines to use your scholarships, and I think it was just early January, where if you don't leave before a certain date, you'll lose all your scholarship money, and then you'll have to sit out years, different things like that. It's always something to look back on and kind of a what if I would have stuck it out the whole year, what could have happened. But I went to school and got a really good education and played some awesome hockey with St. Mary's. Pretty happy with my decision.
AUS hockey, certainly nothing to sneeze at. You end up also getting to play over in Europe. You touched on that. Italy, Germany, Denmark. Just how great was it to use hockey as a way to see other parts of the world, and what stands out from your experiences abroad?
That's exactly it. It's the experiences, just opportunities that if it wasn't for hockey, I don't think life I never would have these chances. And it's just, you're still pretty young going over there and just growing as a person, going into new cultures, new languages, and kind of joining a group of 20 teammates from a whole different culture. Those experiences, people you meet, and different ways of just getting through life and seeing those cultures. It's definitely special, and to do it, doing a job and making money and doing it, it's something that I look back on and I'll never regret doing it.
We see this with a lot of guys that go over to Europe. They end up coming back when I'm sure you could still play over there. What goes into the decision to decide to move back to North America and transition to not playing hockey?
Yeah, you know what? It's still an iffy subject because, like you said, I'm not that old in the hockey rank, especially for overseas. I'm still getting some messages to go back over and things like that. But I think it just came a point in my life where I have some young nephews growing up, and I've just been away for so long that it's nice just to be back in my hometown and being around the family, watching my nephews grow up, and actually being able to go on the ice and coach them and stuff like that as well. It's a hard decision not jumping out and still playing when you know you still could for sure, but at the same time I'm happy being back and giving back to my community and my family.
Interesting here you say that a lot of similarities what we're seeing with Chris Culligan here is one of the Eagles assistant coaches talked about wanting to get home, family, nieces and nephews start to add up, etc. So certainly you can see why a player would go in that route. Last thing I wanted to ask about your coaching. You coached in the Nova Scotia Junior B this year. Your Liverpool team ended up losing in a 7-game series. Talk about getting into coaching and maybe the competitiveness of the NSJHL right now.
It kind of was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't really sure kind of what the level was going to be. I know 10 years ago it was a lot different where it was more of just lots of fights and things like that. But pleasantly surprised with how competitive it is and how good some of these hockey players are. It's kind of that league where it's a combination of players that could be playing Junior A and even players that could probably be playing Major Junior. I've had a couple players on my team that had tryouts in the Quebec League, and it's just that league where guys just want to go to school full time or kind of work on the side. And this league provides that option, whereas you don't get it in those higher junior leagues. It attracts some really good hockey players, and I was pleasantly surprised, like I said, with the talent.
Hopefully you're enjoying your stint there. I'm sure fans will be happy to hear from you and what you're up to now. Best of luck with everything going forward. Ben, thanks for this.
Awesome. I appreciate the time.
That is for PEI Rocket forward Ben Duffy, and now still involved with the game. As I mentioned, one of the things he's doing is coaching the Liverpool Privateers in the NSJHL. You're listening to the intermission of Uniglass Plus, Cape Breton Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.